everybody. Welcome back to Kavanaugh's Corner. Today on the channel we're going to be talking about a film that when I heard this was coming out on the Criterion collection and completely remastered in 4K, I had to get it. This movie is a gut punch. It comes at you at 100 miles an hour, very rarely slows down. It's a visceral experience. It's extremely gross, extremely in your face at times, and really is a devastating yet humanizing film. And that is Trainspotting here. Oop, actually, no, I'm sorry. Trainspotting. This packaging I'll talk about later, but Trainspotting here is the Danny Boyle film starring Ewan McGregor and a bunch of other fantastic actors. Johnny Lee Miller, Robert Carlyle is fantastic in this as well. And this movie is one of those films where you watch it and you just can't believe what you're seeing at times. It is a very rough watch for me. Certain parts of this movie are just so brutal that it's kind of hard for me to look at the screen at times. If you've seen this film, you know what I'm talking about. There is some heavy duty stuff going on in this film. Some things I can't even really talk about, but all I'm going to say is that they include addiction and the lifestyle that comes along with it, and how that kind of thing affects people. And it really looks at that in a very unbelievable way. Danny Boyle's direction in this film is just electric, and you cannot take your eyes off the screen, even though there are a few times where I really have to look away because this movie gets pretty rough. And this now has been completely restored in 4K. The new transfer on the 4K disc in here was supervised by Danny Boyle. Today I'm going to be talking about the new 4K remaster on here, the special features, and I'm also going to talk about this packaging, because the packaging here for this film is really something, and we'll get into that much later into the video. But first, let's jump right into the picture quality here, because this movie, as I mentioned, completely restored. But the biggest thing to talk about with Trainspotting here is that it has been completely recolored. So this disc does have Dolby Vision HDR and HDR10 compatibility as well. But this movie, compared to the last time I saw it, which was a long time ago, I will say that, this is now a completely different looking movie. The movie looks much more vivid at times. The colors now have been changed in an extreme degree, and I know not everyone is going to be fond of the new color timing on this film. One big noticeable change that I saw right away is that the movie does not seem to be as dark as it used to be. It has been lightened a little bit. Again, that HDR, that Dolby Vision really has done a number on this film, and in a good way for the most part. Black levels are much better than they were previously. The movie just looks so much more lifelike now, and when you see Renton, when you see Ewan McGregor's character in this film, and you see how absolutely white as a ghost as he is in some of the film, it really stands out now. The scenes that really jump out to me, one scene in particular where he is in a very dilapidated place. It's a flop house, basically, is what it is. But there is a scene where he is standing in front of a window that has like a red shade or something red in front of it. And that red now is so deep. It's so vibrant. It just jumps out at you. And a lot of colors like that now do that in this film. Greens especially now look so much more lifelike than they did before. Certain colors, however, I feel have been altered in a way that is a little odd. And there is a massive amount of cyan coloring in this now. Did I think it was bad? No, I don't. I think it looked pretty solid through most of the picture. But a lot of times where there was whites and light, white colors, it now looks like a cyan turquoise kind of color. And the blues in the film have also been altered to kind of look more turquoise green. And it's not something that I was expecting, to be honest, watching this movie. But I remember the feel that the movie had before, and now the picture in some scenes has become a lot cooler in terms of color temperature. It's not as harsh as it was before, and does that affect the tone of the film? Not really. I mean, I still think, it gets some pretty heavy points across, but the look of the film is drastically different than it was before. And to me, in some ways, it's okay. In other ways, I'm not crazy when some films are changed that much, like this one is. Did it look great? Yes, it looked fantastic. I mean, the detail level in this movie is off the charts now. The makeup in this film looks amazing. As I mentioned before, that pale white when Renton, gets off of the narcotics in this film, his whole body looks completely different. I mean, he goes from that dead white kind of color to an actual skin tone, and you can see it. You can literally see that happening as the film goes on. It's a really interesting watch. There are some details that I notice now that I did not notice before. Track marks and stuff like that are so graphically evident now. It really is brutal. The nastiest toilet scene is now, I mean, I can almost smell it. It's so disgusting. There are some scenes in this movie that are just so appalling, but almost in a good way. It's like, you got to kind of see this, But overall, I thought the movie looked fantastic, but it is extremely different from any other version you've ever seen. So, your mileage may vary. I love this film. I love the way it looked, but it is a different looking film. Now, in terms of audio quality, as I mentioned, this does come with a 2.0 DTS HD master audio, which is basically like a lossless soundtrack. And there is also a 5.1 DTS master audio as well. So I watched the film with the original stereo, and I thought it sounded fantastic. This movie has one of the greatest soundtracks of any film ever. And right from the beginning of the film, when Iggy Pop comes on, and it just, I mean, the movie just starts, like, it's just bang, you're literally off to a running start. It is something to behold. I mean, the movie sounded great. Dialogue was crystal clear. The sound effects were great. Everything was placed perfectly. The balance on it was great. It just was a really good soundtrack. So again, I'm not sure if that soundtrack had been remastered, but it was a great soundtrack. And of course, this being a Criterion Collection release, there are a ton of special features. There is an audio commentary with Danny Boyle, producer Andrew McDonald, screenwriter John Hodge, and Ewan McGregor. There are 9 deleted scenes with commentaries from the filmmakers, new interviews with production designer Cave Quinn and costume designer Rachel Fleming. There is a making of documentary called Off the Rails about the making of this film, obviously. Another documentary called Memories of Trainspotting, which is from 2008, which has a bunch of the actors as well as the filmmakers. There's another special feature where you actually hear from Iggy Pop, Jarvis Cocker, Bobby Gillespie, Damon Albarn, Left Field, and Underworld talking about the actual soundtrack of the film, a theatrical teaser and trailer, as well as subtitles, and there's also a booklet inside that comes with Welsh's glossaries of terms from the original novel. Now, that kind of leads me to the packaging of this one, because this one here is a little wacky. So this actually kind of slides in here. This is all one piece, and it's like cardboard. And you can see it has the promotional shots and a very vivid orange. Now, this is the 4K here. This is the Blu-ray that has all the special features on it. And then there is a booklet that slides out from in here, and it has all the articles and things inside there, as well as that glossary I was telling you about earlier. Now, I gotta say, this is a very weird, kind of obtuse type packaging. I can see why they did it for this movie, because this is a wild movie. But the one thing I have to say about it, even though I'm not fond of these slip kind of things here, I'm really not fond of these slip things. They slide out very easily. They don't seem to damage the disc in any way. But it just, I really don't like this. I can see why it would be maybe better for the environment, but like it's just really annoying, and the fact you have to bend this thing to like slip that into that piece there, I really don't like this. This is just not for me. It's a little too flimsy. It's very easily damageable, and yeah, I'm not big on this kind of digibook. So I hope that Criterion doesn't make too much more like this. Citizen Kane was insane enough in terms of the packaging, but this is just really, really wacky. So what are my thoughts overall on the Criterion Collection version of Trainspotting? It's one of these movies that I wanted to own it because it is an important film, I think. It's a very well-made film. It's an absolute brutal watch, but I enjoy it in a certain way. I like it for what it is. The new 4K transfer, as I mentioned, even though it looks really, really good, it is a monumentally different looking film than it previously was. Now, Danny Boyle, as I mentioned, did supervise it. So maybe that is the look that he wanted all along, and they just couldn't do that back when this movie was released. So, if the director approved it, then that's what he wanted. So, again, in that aspect, I get it. But it's really not the way the movie originally looked, and I'm not really crazy about that, but it did look phenomenal. The audio was fantastic. The special features are amazing. The packaging kind of stinks, but it is what it is. I recommend it if you're a fan of this film and you really want to see it in 4K with that new transfer. It is a great watch, but it's a tough one, or at least it is for me. And it is spine number 1204. I'll leave a link to Trainspotting in the description below. So if you click that link to pick up this film on Amazon, I do get a little kickback here on the channel. Using that link does help us out quite a lot here on the channel, because Criterion doesn't send me any films. I bought this with my own money so I could bring you a review of it, because I think it's a movie worth talking about. Anyway, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel below. We recently just surpassed 2,400 subscribers, so that to me means so much. That is such an incredible thing, and to all of you that subscribed out there, I cannot thank you enough. Physical media is very important to me, and we're kind of losing it, but I foresee it kind of making a comeback here. So I think people are fed up with streaming, and this way, you buy a movie like this, you own it forever until you choose to get rid of it. So I love physical media, and if you do too, please subscribe to me here on the channel, because I'm always bringing you a review when releases come out. Now, I know releases are going to be spaced out now by 2 weeks, so if you see a time when there's no videos during a week, that's probably a slow or dead week, but I'll try to fill it with something else in the meantime. So until next time, I just want to wish you all the very best. Thank you again for subscribing. Please stay safe and take it easy.